All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rideshare Chronicles. I'm your host, Mr. T, and what we also have here is Morpheus. Say hello, Morpheus.
Hey, what's going on, folks?
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and kick off.
Today, right? Yeah, go ahead.
No. Yeah, I'm just saying we're gonna kick it off real quick, ladies and gentlemen, with the Rideshare Chronicles and things. So without further delay, we're gonna go and hop right into it. Go ahead, Morpheus.
So yeah, what I want to jump into was the Robotaxis. We talked about that a little bit last time, and I just want to pull up an article, share with the folks. This guy right here is in San Francisco, and I'm not gonna read the whole article, but he doesn't care for the Robotaxis, and and I know that they're coming, right? Because it's a race to the bottom for the drivers, but the companies, they're going to be very, very profitable with this. In fact, Lyft's shares went up as a result of them announcing the Waymo partnership or some other robotaxi partnership that they have, and their shares went up. Now, I'm going to ask you what your thought is on this, T, but what I want to do is just go over the fact that people are not comfortable with them right now. It's just like, but a little different because it's a safety issue here. When we had the self-checkout at the grocery store, most people weren't using them. They were like, I'm not about to work, pay more for my groceries, and I got a bag of myself. But now they may have one cashier and 35 self-checkouts at the Myers, right?
Right.
Something similar at the K. Rogers. Some of y'all know it as Kroger, but I call it K. Rogers. So it's going to come down to a point where these companies are going to say, well, this is the option that we have. And it's a race to the bottom as it results to the driver, because autonomous vehicles are going to be here, robo-taxis or what have you, and the passenger is not going to be given that much of a choice. When a company has to share revenue with the driver versus keeping 100% of the revenue to themselves, what do you think they're going to do? There's going to be a race to the bottom because they're going to pay the drivers less and force the customers to take an autonomous vehicle because they're going to see that the drivers are not approaching them to take them 20 miles for $5. The drivers are just simply not going to do it. When in fact, the company is still going to charge $25, $30 for the ride and keep 100% of the money. So they're going to say to them, hey, you can either wait up to an hour for a human driver, or you can take this robo-taxi, which is 5 minutes away. So eventually, if a person is trying to go to work, trying to go to an appointment, trying to get to school, which one do you think they're going to do? Go ahead, T.
Yeah, you bring up a good point in regards to that, though. I know we went over this question before. If they got to be somewhere, of course, they're going to be trying to look for a live person. But if we were to spin it back before that, how you were mentioning about from the shareholders, race to the bottom. For the company, it's going to be great. For the shareholders, it's going to be great because you already know there's going to be in other words, we're talking about no live people, right? No human beings, no interactions. They can drive that car autonomously 24/7, 7 days a week, without fail, unless if there's some type of mechanical issue, a software issue prior to that. But for us as the drivers, this is not so good. This is not. In fact, I drove in the market, which is Waymo in Phoenix. Some of you guys probably have, experienced a Waymo car in Phoenix, Arizona. And here I am driving Lyft, out there in Phoenix and watching these way more vehicles come through there and stuff like that. So, so this is a thing, ladies and gentlemen. So, go right ahead, Morpheus.
Well, I'm not going to be the dead horse in the head, so I'm done with that. I want to chat with, give me some, I know you got a story or two regarding passenger interaction, good or bad. Give the folks, since this is called Rideshare Chronicles, tell us a story of, not a long one, don't be long-winded, because I know you can go, but give us a story on your experience with entitled passengers.
Okay. Well, I can give you one of the stories. I had one recently. She was a female, and she sat in the back as they mostly do. But to make a long story short, I was asking her about, because she had an interesting name that was Middle Eastern. So I asked her, I said, that's an interesting name, dog. Where you get it from? She said she got it from her father. And I said, okay, your father is, because she said he's like Lebanese or something. I said, oh, that's interesting. I thought it was this interesting thing because she was basically black, but her father was Lebanese and black himself. So that's what brought up the conversation. So I started asking, I said, so is your father, I asked her this, I said, is your father Lebanese? And she said, I don't feel comfortable about talking to you in front of the camera that you have there. And sometimes I kind of forget I do have a dash camera going. And I said, no problem. No problem. We don't got to talk about it. I said, so yeah, it was Morpheus. It was really weird that happened, but that's what ended up happening. That's one of my stories. Had another story that 3 girls in the car picked them up over there in Royal Oak. There was a club called Fifth Avenue, right? So they get in the car, and there 2 of the girls was arguing with each other. One of the girls wore the other girl's top. So the girl said, give me my stuff back. So she said, well, you can have your top. So she took her blouse off, threw it back up in the front seat. Now, it was at night, and I had tinted windows. So I said, hey, she had her puppies exposed. So I said, hey, you got to put the top back on. I don't want nothing from her. I don't want to put it back on. I drove all the way, bro, from Royal Oak all the way out to Novi to drop them off. She was an Hispanic girl. She was already drunk, drinking. You could tell, a little high and a little buzz. But the puppies were fully exposed. And that's all I'll say about that one.
Okay, first off, the first story you said, T, had nothing to do with entitlement. I get why she might not be comfortable in front of a camera.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Well, we can edit there. Let's go ahead with entitlement. Okay. Edit. This is the stop here. Stop edit. Okay, so I'll give a little space in there. So the entitlement customers, here's one of the ones that I cannot stand. They would drop a pin in the wrong location. That's why we hate pin drops. In the wrong location, whether if it's not even a few blocks away, right? Now I got to come out. Could you come out in front? Traffic. I never like stopping on the main roads, right? But they'll expect for you to pick the passenger up. The passenger is requesting for the drivers. Pick them right up where they are. Main Street, whatever it is, you got, what's wrong with this feature? This is a safety issue, right? So this is one of my I'm just so annoyed with some of the passengers when it come down to the entitlement. And they said, could you pull up in the driveway, please? This is another one, you know what I'm saying? It's like, can't you meet me on the street so we can just keep it going? Because driveways ain't always level. So, and my car sits low already. I'm trying to go up the darn driveway, scrape, you know what I'm saying? So these are some of the things that annoy me. What's another one? I'll tell you this is, and then I'll let it go. The entitlement, they get in my car. I had one female. I picked her up from McDonald's, and this is at night, about maybe 10:30, taking her home all the way to Ypsilanti. It's about a 25-minute drop off. Why do I hear her snacking, smacking, and crunching? Smacking, cracking, and munching, right in the back seat, And I talked to her about it. She instantly had an attitude or whatever. I didn't think it was a problem for me to eat in your back seat. I'll clean it up. It ain't no big deal. You know what I'm saying? So this is the type of stuff that annoy the drivers, So those are my 3. Go right ahead.
Okay. So you told the story about the eating. That's a no-no. It's not a restaurant, right? So you can either stop eating or you can get out. I got zero tolerance patience for that. And it's not about you cleaning up. For one, it's not your vehicle. You do what you want to do in your vehicle. I totally agree with you on that. And this end of discussion. Now, the other thing about pulling up in the driveway, the only time I pull up in the driveway, I'll bag into a driveway if they got groceries or laundry or something like that, get them a little closer to the door. But if they don't, it is what it is. Now, as far as pulling into the driveway and all that and them motioning me, I suggest they get to stepping on across the street and jumping in the vehicle. The other thing is they always want to sit behind the driver, and I just keep my doors locked until if they pull on that door behind the driver, I'll just hit the window and say, other side, please. And they go around, they get in, they speak, and we laugh and joke and talk, or we're just quiet. No problem with that. So I think the entitlement part is when they think that since they're paying for a service, they get to dictate how you are to provide that service. Case in point, one day, it was during the hot summer days. I got the windows down, I got the sunroof open. A young lady got in and we were driving along and she says, "Oh, you got air? Can you turn on the air?" And I looked in the rearview mirror. I said, "Ma'am, you ordered a regular Uber, not a Comfort. When you order a Comfort, you kind of somewhat get to dictate, how you want the vehicle, quiet, mellow, cool air or heat or something like that. But I suggest you use those windows back there. Use that window button." It's just the way her attitude was to think that turn on the air. And it kind of got me. And so I didn't.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because I get the opposite though, man. It's like, even though I had the windows down, mostly, but yeah, but if I get somebody to say, could you turn on the AC? Because yeah, you're absolutely right though. When you're driving X, because the majority of my rides now is X. When I did Comfort, wasn't no problem because they were paying for the service, as you said. Because there was a time when I had my other car, that's all I did was Comfort. I didn't even bother with X very much. I didn't drive for X. It had to be something going on for me to turn on X, but other than that, yeah, it was always Comfort for the most part of it with the AC, get those extra, type of privileges. But at the bottom of the line, the race to the bottom, no, sir. We are not going to turn on that AC. How about the stop? Isn't that enough?
Oh, yeah.
Go right ahead and let you elaborate on that.
So with the stops, they know they want to make a stop. And
yep.
they know that they charge for stops, right?
Yep.
So I have zero problem them asking me to make a stop. But I always say, yep, I sure can. You got to add it into the app, right?
Yep.
You got to add it in there. And some people do. Oh, that's okay. And then we just go to the final destination. Now, there's been on many occasions where the stop looked like it might not be that long. And, hey, can you make a stop right here at this gas station? I'm like, sure can, but I just need you to do a favor for me. Oh, what's that? Grab me an Easy Pick Powerball. It's $2. Or Easy Pick Fantasy 5 and a Lotto 47. It's $2. I'll ask them for a lottery because that I think would be a great story. Passenger buys Powerball ticket or Lotto 47 ticket and driver won. And that'll be a great story because that passenger, even though they bought me the ticket, I still will give them a little something, as a result of that.
Right. And that's where I learned that from you because it make a lot of sense. If we have an unscheduled stop, okay, but okay, I would ask them too. I would say, well, you're gonna do the stop. Do you mind getting me the lottery ticket or something to drink? Yeah. So yeah, that's what I learned from you in regards to that. And in other words, ladies and gentlemen, it makes it a lot easier even though you have we call these unscheduled stops, because really they're supposed to put them in there. But see, a lot of the riders gotten smart, because every time a driver see a multiple stop, we cringe. And we're talking like it can be up to, what's the maximum?
On Uber, they
Mhm.
can have 2, 3 stops. They can go 3 different places.
Yeah.
On Lyft, it's just 1 different place.
Okay.
And I don't even, when I see stops like that, I don't even take them. I just say nope. And if you add a stop during the ride, then your ride ends with your final destination. I don't do dual stop. And here's the reason why. Because Uber and Lyft don't pay you properly to go the distance.
No, they don't.
To take them back.
That's
so
correct.
I just avoid them all together because I don't want the issues. And if you add one during the trip, chances are you're going to be left at that location.
That is correct.
I will end the trip because I just don't do stops.
Yep, exactly.
I don't do schools. I don't go to, pick up in the morning. Like what I drive, I might drive say 5, 6 in the morning, and I'm shutting it down at 7. Between 7 and 9 o'clock, I don't drive because I know it's a chance of getting school people. I had this one guy pulled up in front of his house, and he comes to the door, and I see 2 young dudes come to the door. And I'm talking about these guys were 5 and 7 because I asked them. And they come across the street pulling on the rear passenger door behind the driver. And I just hit the window. I said, "Is it just y'all 2?" And he said, and the little guy said, "Yes." I said, "How old are you, my man?" He said, "5." I said, "How old are you?" He's 7. I looked at I guess it was a father. He was like, "They good, go ahead." I said, "No, sir. I'm not going to be responsible for your kids in my vehicle. Anything can happen. When I drop my kids off at school, I wait till they go inside."
I know that's right.
Right.
Talk about good parenting.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I'm not going to be responsible for your kids. And you got to come with them. "Oh, no, that's okay. Come on back. Come on back." So I guess he's going to try for another driver because there are plenty of drivers out there that will take them.
Yep.
I'm not that guy. Not that guy.
Exactly. One of my, I guess you could say, outside of entitlement, some of my pet peeves that I have with passengers. One of them is that the door slamming.
Oh my God.
Now, I never understood the reason. I mean, I know some people are not conscientious of, what they're doing, but, I've been noticing it because in a minivan, I don't experience it very much because about 80% of people, about 90% of people sit in the second row, third row seat. So the doors slide open and slide close. But when I went back to my Prius, bam, slamming, bam, you know what I'm saying? It's like, this is one of the things there that I just cannot stand. Can't stand it, but it's like that, what I'm saying? That's basically what it is. It's like a hard slam.
Yeah, I usually talk to him about that. I'll say, "Yo, big fella, why you trying to break my door?" "Oh, my bad. My bad." And if it's a young lady, be like, "Wow, you pretty strong. Why are you trying to break my door?" And they'll start laughing. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." And so that makes them a little bit more aware that when they get out, that they don't swing it so hard because it's not a Cadillac, not a Lincoln. It's not made of pure steel and metal like those old cars that you have to close them properly.
I know, right? Yeah, I never could understand that. The psychology of it all, though. I know people are in their own stuff. It's if it ain't your stuff, the old saying is if it doesn't belong to you, why should you care? And that's that entitlement mentality that you mentioned earlier.
The other thing, what do you think about when they are on the phone and they're having a conversation on speaker? How do you feel about that?
If I did, because a lot of times I have my earbuds, in my ear. I got my AirPods. A lot of times I'll be listening to podcast stuff and audio books and stuff like that. So if I can't hear it, it doesn't bother it as much. But if I didn't have those and have to listen to that conversation, especially if it's something I don't want to hear, yeah, it can be a problem. And that's why I just suggest if people are doing this, you definitely want to have yourself some earbuds in your ear. And I do it. I ride around with it about 97% of the time. I have my earbuds in my ears.
Yeah,
That
I like
to
to
hear,
I like to hear around me. It doesn't bother me that they're on the speakerphone or whatever, or they're playing their music. Doesn't bother me anything like that. Um, if it's a situation where it's a bunch of cussing and all this, that, and the other, then I'm going to say something about it because I don't need to hear all that.
Right. Exactly.
Why? Why? You can have this conversation with them. I don't know them. I don't know you, but it's just a matter of courtesy. I think your parent should have taught you how to handle yourself out in public, and all that extra stuff that you're doing is not necessary. But 90% of the time, it doesn't bother me because a lot of times people are not as rude. I would call it rude.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely it's a rude thing though. I know we went over a lot with the type of rides that we won't take. I got some that came up, but I didn't do the screenshots with them. Besides that, yeah,
Before we get to that, what about parents without the proper car seat?
they just don't get picked up in things though. That would be, I mean, I'm so programmed for that type of stuff. So, it happens, but it doesn't have to happen necessarily for them getting in the car. Because as you were mentioning earlier, that car, it's a reason for that car seat. And if we get into an accident, whatever the case is, they're going to come after that driver. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just had one recently picking up from the school. I, I I knew the area, but the time of day, I was like, oh shoot, they getting out early. So I seen this young lady walking. She went the opposite direction as I was making a U-turn, and I'm like, okay, cool. It's not her because she had two little dudes with her, little dudes that at least should have been in booster seats. And when she pulled, she came, oh, I was going the wrong way. And I hit the one. I said, young lady, you got booster seats for them two big fellas right there? No. And she's looking at me like, okay, come on in. I'm nope. And I said, ma'am, I can't take you. I said, it's a $500 ticket. That's what I was told. And points on my license if I get pulled over. And the thing about it is, if there's an accident, the parent may not be coming after you, but that attorney is going to come after your insurance company. They, they have no problem doing that.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
a lot of times these folks, they got toddlers and little kids and, oh, I'm gonna just put them on my lap. No, you're not. You're not. You have
Nope.
to have a car seat. And I don't think Lyft and Uber do enough to tell this to the parents. They should send them text messages. If you have a toddler that requires a car seat, please bring it because the drivers do not carry car seats. They don't do enough of that.
Exactly.
And then the,
Exactly.
the sad part about it is you can cancel, but why should the driver cancel? If he cancels, he doesn't get paid for making an effort to go over to that trip.
True.
So he has to wait on Lyft 5 minutes before he can cancel in order to get the cancellation fee. On Uber, it's a total of 7 minutes because they give him a 2-minute grace period. Now, the rude thing about it is you have to wait within a certain distance to the original pickup in order for the timer to actually work. I think it's really rude that both companies would have you wait in front of the pickup plot part place where they're at, and the passenger's staring at, would you go ahead and cancel? Like, no, I'm not canceling because I won't get paid a cancellation fee. It's not my fault that you don't have a car seat. And then you get the argument, well, the other driver took me. That's not my problem either. They didn't do it right. And we already know it's a lot of people that don't know the rules and that will take a passenger that needs a car seat without the car seat.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Yep. And another thing is that besides the car seat, and things. What's another one? People that get into your car, right? And they automatically want you to hook up to the auxiliary aux.
I don't mind that. That's what they got
You
it
know,
for. I got two
yeah,
plugs for the back.
because I got my music. I'm just kidding, y'all. You got to have a little humor here, right? I'm just kidding. Yeah, the auxiliary auxes are not bad though. Only if I'm listening to my podcast. No, it's all good though, because they are paying for the ride though.
No, the auxiliary, shoot, the battery, if we got the same type
Mhm.
of phone, Apple phone,
Yep,
that's a
yep.
beautiful thing.
Yeah, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Yep, but
Hey,
yeah,
so check it. Listen, I'm getting ready to get started and go set up and watch this game. But the
yeah,
next time
it's about
we
that
chop it
time.
up,
Yep,
I want to
yep.
talk about some stories. Like, I heard about the guy that first started driving for Lyft and he took someone to a funeral. I'm going to tell that story. Another story where this young lady got picked up in Ferndale and once unalive in the morning. I had to tell that story. So think about the stories that you want to share of you heard other drivers' experiences or even yourself.
Right. I will.
Okay, sir. Well, it was
All
good
right.
chopping it up with you.
It sounds great. We thank, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you guys for being a part of something great and real. The Rideshare Chronicles. I'm your host once again, T. And
Well, you want me to say my name?
yeah,
Morpheus.
there you go. Yeah, there we go. All right, then. So stay tuned for the next episode of Rideshare Chronicles. Peace and chicken grease. We are out.